Alrighty then, good morning, hello, good evening, good afternoon, whatever time zone it happens to be. My name is Michael, I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer, and welcome to DAG Reads, where I read a book, because I'm literate, and I need to prove it to people, and myself. No, it's fine. No, I'm actually reading Emily Rodda's Rowan of Rin, which was one of the very first fantasy adventure books that I ever read as a child. And yeah, I'm reading it with you guys. We've read through part 1 and 2, Rowan of Rin and Rowan and the Travelers. We are now reading book 3, which is Rowan and the Keeper of the Crystal. This is by far probably my favorite of the series, but then again, I haven't read the last two things of the series, so you know, it could be whatever it is. Now, we are going to be reading through this book, and I will be doing a recap, but it's also kind of like a chill hangout stream. This is a good way to, like, chat with me about anything that might be going on with you guys, chat with you guys about, like, TTRPGs and the stuff that you guys might be doing, or even stuff that I'm doing that you guys are really interested in. Like, I've got a Dragonlance series coming out, which will be a lot of fun. I'm also on the Careful Cantrip team. I'm going to be doing some stuff with Duke from One Shot Questers. Lots of cool stuff. So if you guys want to know things, let me know, and we can, we can talk about that. But yeah, I can see so many cool and familiar faces. I see Sparky in chat. Hi, Sparky. I can see Schooly Eye, Kethra, Hester's in the house. Good to see you. And Kethra, thank you so much for the 1,000 bits. It means so much. And guys, as always, a little notification down there. All donations for this stream are appreciated, but don't, so normally I do Twitch interaction stuff, but this stream is just a chill stream, and anything you donate to today is just going to go towards my trip to the US, which, is super important to me. And I want to thank you guys already, because, it allows us to, continue doing all the cool stuff. And we're now saving up for cosplay, which is going to be a lot of fun. So very, very keen on that. I can also see Mythical Turian in chat, Creative Garden, XX Lazy Ember. Is that anything to do with World Ember? Are you just not doing World Ember like you should be? Maybe. Who knows? Okay, so, the book. Okay, what can we tell you about the book thus far? Now, actually, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, today, for the very first time, I am going to be drinking something a little stronger than my Coca-Cola. It's not that it's been a long day, but if you've been following what I've been doing recently, I have had some very, very long and tumultuous few days. Doing stuff on people's channels and hanging out and doing cool things. So today I think I'm going to treat myself. I'm going to have a little treat for myself because I can, and that's important to be able to treat yourself. So there you go. So if this stream gets weird, I mean, that's it. I tend to overshare when I celebrate. So there you go. That's an opening there. All right. Dag, you did such a great job with Twitch shows. It was so much fun. Oh, thank you so much, Myth. I had so much fun with it. And I put so much effort into it, and I hope that it got people, Like, I hope I did surprise people with, like, hey, look, it's an Apis story, and then, psych, it's a Salazar story. I hope I hope that managed to get a few people and got people excited, because I was very excited about that. But yeah. Creative Garden, I feel like you said something, or you made something very recently that I was supposed to say was very cool, and I do apologize, because I feel like it's something niggling in the back of my head. Creative Garden created something that I heard about, and I thought it was really cool, but I can't remember what it is. But that's because, that's my mind. But yeah. All right. Book. Let's talk book. This book right here. What is this book about? Well, this book takes place in a fantasy world where in a small town called Rin, which was founded by a group of ex-slaves who were enslaved to the Zebak. These kind of warrior slaves managed to unite with locals from this land, the Travelers and the Travelers and the Mali, who basically banded together, defeated the Zebak, shoved them off, and then settled in this land. Now, Rin is a proud land of strong people living between these mountains. And Rowan is the kind of like the shyest, the most nervous and fearful of the people of Rin. So much so that he was criticized and ostracized for it his whole life. Now, the stream that fed the lifeblood of this city, of this town, stopped producing water, and they found that the source was coming from the mountain. The mountain, however, was said to be the home of a great and powerful dragon, and it took 7 of the bravest men and women from the town to climb up this mountain and restore the river. One of which was Rowan, who, thanks to the prophecy, maybe, I don't know if it's thanks, but due to the prophecy made by the old witch Sheba, Rowan was the last man standing at the top of the mountain and went down as a hero of Rin. In the second book, Rowan and the Travelers, we saw the second group of the Alliance that fought off the Zebak, the Travelers, led by these kite-flying scouts traveling atop wagons. They showed up in Rin around the time that they were harvesting and gathering these berries that they had taken from the mountains. Suspicious that the Travelers would take the berries and use it for their own commerce, Rin started acting a bit weird towards their allies, right? They're not former allies, they're allies. Which, of course, created like this huge tension between the Travelers and Rin. However, mysteriously, everyone began to fall asleep through a mysterious sleeping sickness, and the Travelers were nowhere to be seen. There was this big thing where Rowan and Alan, who was a half person of Rin, half Traveler, went to go and seek out what had gone wrong and found the truth behind it. Now, I won't go too deep into it because that's a whole book, obviously, but they found out that the berries that they'd taken from the mountain were actually this kind of creature that would use the berries' sweet scent to lure people in, put them to sleep, and then munch on them. Which apparently had happened to the forebearers of the Travelers, the original people that they once were. So after all of this confusion, their bonds were forged even stronger. In the new book, the Mali, who are... is it the Mali? I feel like it's the Mali. Maris, thank you. There we go. It's the Maris people. The people of the Maris, who are aquatic people with like webbed feet and hands and stuff like that, they have gone to Rin in order to enact a summons. The keeper is dying, or the crystal is dimming, and the chooser has been summoned. Now, the chooser is a member of Rin who has gone down by generations to decide who becomes the keeper of the crystal. The crystal is a symbol of power within the Maris. They, hey, G, what's up? Oh, it's so good to see you. Welcome in. We're just talking about my DAG reads before I get started. How are you doing, my dear? It's good to see you guys. If you don't know, G of D, wonderful streamer, does lots of cool cyberpunk stuff, does really, really funny streams with a bunch of amazing content creators, and of course, got freaking the mad D&D chops, eh? Like mad D&D chops, and yeah, if you want to go check her out, let's give a quick shout out here. Yeah, we're just doing a quick recap of our DAG reads before we settle in. But guys, if you want a chill stream to join, just hang out. You'll enjoy it. You know, I'll tell you what. If you give me 15 minutes of your time before you go and get your food and have your beverage, if you give me 15 minutes of your time and I don't wow you, you can just leave. You never look at me again. If you like it, however, you gotta give me that follow. Gotta push the button. All right, that's the deal. Yeah, you go. All right. So, going back to it. The Maris's keeper is dying, and the crystal is dimming, meaning the power that the Maris people have is slowly dwindling. So, Rowan and his mother, who is the chooser of this generation, have been summoned to travel across the land towards the coast in order to go and make a decision of which of the 3 tribes of the Maris is going to become the next leader. We found out last week about a lot of the history that the Zebak had actually, on their last invasion, wiped out the 4th tribe of the Maris, which is how Rowan's mother's family became choosers, because with no members of the 4th tribe, a decision couldn't be made of who would lead the Maris. So now, every generation, or every so many generations, they show up, they come in, and lo and behold, they make their choice. So we're just about to go on that journey and just about to find out, what more sinister plots lurk in the back of this political intrigue. But before we do, guys, another raid. Guys, welcome in. How you guys doing? D&D Doctorate, welcome in. I feel like I've met you. I don't know if I've met you in person, but I feel like I've seen your stuff. But guys, welcome in. For those of you who don't know, my name is Michael Potato Gamer. I do TTRPGs here in this space. Today we're just having the chills. We're just chilling out, doing a DAG reads, but it's also a point where you guys can ask me questions about role-playing, about D&D, about, like, storytelling. Because, hey, look, one of the things that make us good D&D GMs or storytellers is, you know, expanding our knowledge of stories. So that's what we're doing. We're reading stuff. Hello, lovely ones. We met at PAX Australia. Yes, there we go. It was Sullivan Kate. Like I said, yeah. But yes, no, PAX was amazing. God, I miss PAX. You have no idea. Robert Hartley, my friend, Robert Hartley GM, blah, 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 insert plug here. He's over in Melbourne. Well, no, he's in Bali. He's heading to Bali at the moment, so he should be in Bali now, but he was in Melbourne today, and he was wandering around in the places where we were hanging out and stuff, and sending us photos and dredging up all my nostalgia, and now I'm dealing with that. So, there you go. We were gonna raid G, but she ran away. Well, that's okay. This is the cool place to hang, so chill out. Relax. Grab yourself a chair, and let's start by reading The Journey. Now, if you have any questions about the story as it goes, please ask in chat. We're very active. This is a welcoming space. And if you have any questions not related to the book, ask them anyway. Just do it. Ask them. What are you drinking? What do you think of mimics? You know, whatever. Ask anything. All right. Here we go. So, The Journey. They left at sunset. Few saw them go. Only Timon and Old Lan had come to the edge of the village to say farewell. Anad, Rowan's sister, was to stay with Marley the Weaver while Jilla and Rowan were away. She would be safe there and happy. And she would feel important too, for she was to care for the Bookshar in Rowan's place. The Bookshar, of course, being these large yak-like creatures, very much the sustenance and the milk that creates their butter, you know, very important things, livestock for the village of Rin. And if, Jilla had whispered to Marley, if Rowan and I do not return. Cutting her off. I will care for Anad as if she were my own, Marley said quickly. Do not fear. But, Jilla, you will return. You will. Old Lan then echoed the same words as they bid them farewell. You will return, she said, her strong, wrinkled face showing none of the fear that perhaps she felt. One of you, at least, will return. The summon has come late. The Maris man has told me that the Keeper is weakening very quickly. There will be no time to send to Rin for another chooser, for which Timon, no doubt, is grateful. Timon, the teacher, bows his head. That's not entirely so. I would take Jilla's place willingly if I could, but the Maris folk will not accept me as the chooser so long as Rowan live. Lan glanced at Perlane, the Maris man who had come with the message. He was waiting impatiently by the stream. Maris is not what it once was, she mumbled. Bound hand and foot by rules, and followed old ways. These people learn nothing. The Keeper guards the crystal, but does not use it as they once did. They fear new ideas, and they will not change. They will not grow. Yet, the Zebak become more cunning with every passing year. The Zebak are the race who once enslaved the people of Rin, who tried to invade these lands, but thanks to the Maris, the travelers, and the people of Rin, they were repelled. Old Lan frowned fiercely. I beg you, Jilla, and you, Rowan of the Bookshar, if the duty should come to you, to choose wisely and choose well. I will, Jilla murmured. Rowan swallowed and nodded. Lan bent forward. And take care, she added, in a whisper that seemed to be harsher. Those slippery Maris devils will be watching your every moment. Now go. Our thoughts and our trust go with you. For years, like every other child in Rin, Rowan had wanted to visit the coast. He had long gazed at the great ocean, sparkling, moving blue as far as the eye could see. He He had imagined himself watching the mysterious pale-skinned Maris folk sailing their boats into the sunrise, gliding like fish through the waves in the midday heat, mending the nets at dusk. Safe at home in his green valley, he had shivered with the pleasant fear at the thought of the huge glistening coils and dripping jaws of the sea serpents hunting their prey under moonlight. Rowan had seen so many pictures and heard so many stories of this place. He longed to see it for himself. He had thought he would travel to the home of the Maris on one of the Rin's trading trips. Every year a group of villagers set out excited and full of talk. 4 or 5 great beasts from the Bookshire herd went with them, pulling wagons loaded with cheese and fruit and vegetables, woven Bookshire wool and other goods. Rowan always ran from his work in the Bookshire fields to watch them go, and 3 or 4 weeks later he stood with the crowd to welcome them home once again. If trade had gone well, the Rin goods would be gone from the wagon. In their place would be bundles of dried fish, jars of oil, packages of salt and sponges. In return, the villagers would show the small things that they had bought for themselves to their friends, strange, beautiful ornaments carved from driftwood and pearl shell, tiny, hard, speckled biscuits that tasted like the sea, glittering fish belts, let's try that again. Glittering fish skin belts, necklaces bright with tiny crystals. Rowan listened to their tales with excitement and envy. One day, he told himself, I would be old enough and strong enough to go to the coast. One day. But that day had arrived far sooner than he had expected, and it had come in a way that had shocked him, for a reason he had never dreamed of. The days and night passed. 'Twas a long journey, a hard journey too, for they travelled by night and in haste, stumbling along the rough ground in the dark, first following the stream and then the river that led to the sea. All of them had grown very weary. Although they took what rest they could during the day, it was difficult to sleep deeply and long with the sun bright in the sky. They travelled by night for the sake of Perlane, the Maris man. Away from the sea spray, his soft skin dried and cracked. The sun of the inland, even at this gentle season, still burned him. He did not thank them for their care. He told them not to spare him. He said that time was too precious to waste, but after 3 nights of walking, he was too tired to argue further. He simply retreated into silence. At night, he flitted ahead of them, his feet soft on the grass, his blue clothes shining in the moonlight. During the day, he soaked in the river while they slept on the bank. One afternoon, when they were nearly at the journey's end, Rowan awoke from an uneasy doze to see Perlane step dripping from water and sitting down upon the grass. The shadows were long, and Rowan knew that soon it would be time for them to eat and be on their way once more. But Gilla and John were still asleep. Even Star, their prize Bookshire, was still dozing. On an impulse, Rowan got up and went over to the Maris man. Perlane watched as he approached. His flat eyes showed neither surprise nor welcome. Rowan had thought he might try to talk to Perlane and ask questions about Maris, but now he found that he didn't know how to begin. He stared at him dumbly, very aware of the Maris man's odd appearance, his strange, fishy smell. "Did you sleep well, the firstborn of the chooser?" Perlane asked politely. "Yes, I did," lied Rowan. "Did you?" Perlane shrugged, and his thin lips curved into a smile. "I will be home by morning," he simply said. He looked at the sky. "It is time for the chooser to awake," he said. Obviously, he wanted Rowan to leave him. Rowan bit his lip. "Perlane," he said in a rush, "the crystal of Maris. Could you tell me more about it?" Perlane stared. "I am only the keeper's messenger. I do not know all the secrets of the crystal. I do not want to know the secrets." Oh, wait, sorry. Wrong person. I do not want to know the secrets," Rowan pleaded. "Just things everyone in Maris must know. Even we in Rin know a little." the crystal was found long ago by a man named Orin the Wise. I know that. But I do not know where it was found, or how. Could you not tell me that at least? Pelaine seemed to consider for a moment. Then slowly he nodded. I will tell you what I know, he said. He looked out across the river. Orin was fishing unwisely as the sun went down. The full moon had risen. The great serpent, the mother of all serpents of the sea, rose from the dark, upset Orin's boat, hunting him down to the island in the harbor. Rowan shuddered. In the house of books there were pictures of the great serpent of Maris. It had always filled him with true fear, a huge, twisting, scaly beast with the head of a dragon and the body of a giant snake, which rose out from the sea. A boat filled with screaming Maris folk, their hands pressed against their ears, was crushed in its terrible, dripping jaws. Pelaine smiled slightly and went on. In his terror, Orin fled the cave, and from there he plunged through the dark tunnels that led deep below the sea. In a small, rocky cavern, he found the crystal. When he touched it, it began to glow, as though 100 rainbow fires were trapped within. He stayed in the cavern all night, and the next morning he carried the crystal to shore. The people knew at once that the crystal was a great wonder, though in those days no one realized exactly how powerful it was. They soon found that it shone only for Orin, and they saw that he had been changed by it. Suddenly, he could see things that they could not, feel the fish below the surface of the sea, sense the serpents lurking, taste the wind, and say when storms were coming, even to see into other people's hearts. And Orin was changed in other ways. Before he found the crystal, he had been filled with hatred for clans not his own. Yet now, though his clan urged him to use his new powers to destroy its rivals, he would not. He shared it with everyone, the knowledge and wisdom of the crystal. So he became the Maris leader, Rowan put in. The first keeper. Yes, by the power of the crystal, said Pelaine. And then everything happened as he said it would. Once the people put their minds to building and planning and gathering food instead of warring with one another, our nation prospered. Other keepers followed, each chosen according to the rules he had laid down. And the crystal... yes, Rowan prompted eagerly. What of the crystal? As the years went on, it was found that the crystal was much more than even Orin had thought. Pelaine hesitated, then continued, choosing his words very carefully. The crystal does not just give, it takes and keeps also, and now it contains all the knowledge of the Maris. When an old keeper dies, all his learning and experience passes into the crystal, and from there it passes into the new keeper, so nothing is lost. Everything is remembered. So the keeper is wiser than the keeper of the past, breathed Rowan. Wiser and more powerful. So it is said. Well, no wonder then that the keeper is a great prize, said Rowan. Everyone in Maris must be longing to be chosen as a candidate. Oh no, Pelaine answered softly. Not everyone. I, for one, cannot think of anything less I would care for. And then suddenly, seeming to feel he had said too much, he jumped lightly to his feet and moved away. Rowan looked out to the river. The water ran swiftly, carrying sticks and leaves with it, moving endlessly towards the ocean. Tomorrow, Rowan thought, we will be where the water is going. We will be at the place where the river meets the sea. Tomorrow, we will be in Maris. Okay. End of chapter 4. Okay. So we're going to take a quick break. Not away from stream. We're just going to stop reading. But yes. So what do we think? How do we feel about the journey thus far? The information we have now been granted about the Keeper and the Crystal. Lots of exposition there. All right, gonna love you, leave you. Time for the majority of the D&D docs to go to sleep. East Coast time. Make sure, but I'm sure Scully and Kate will keep me company all the silly time zone. Oh, silly time zone. That's okay. We're the coolest people. You and me, Kate. Perth people. Yeah. That's what it is. Hashtag Perth life. That's fine. But yes, have a wonderful night. All right. Any questions about what just happened? I'm also struggling with the two accents. I might change Perlane's accent again, just to kind of have more of maybe a slight Italian drawl, maybe. Oh no, not everyone. I, for one, could think of anything I would care for less. No, maybe not. Oh no. Oh no. That's hard one. Maybe I'll find it. I'll find what the voice is. Doritos and a tiny potato man. Cheers. How are you guys? You guys doing all right? I'm doing okay. Having a great time. Loving hanging out with you guys. So how was your stream, by the way? I didn't get a chance to ask because we were running a little bit behind. Did you have fun? Did you enjoy your session? How was it? Let me know. I think the journey thus far is fraught with mysteries and dangers. I think because the people traveling to the Maris city are Rowan of the Bookshop, his mum, Strong John, who is kind of courting, as it were, Rowan's mother, and of course this Maris man Perlane. I think the interesting thing about them is it's such an interesting dynamic because obviously Jiller is somewhat the focus here, but we're not like following this story from Jiller's perspective. It's really interesting because like you could have made Rowan the keeper, right? Oh, sorry, the chooser, right? The Rowan could have been the one who had to choose, but they didn't. They went with Jiller, and I'm very interested to see why they went with that. Is it because they want to focus more on her story? Is it because something bad's going to happen to Jiller? Is it because they wanted to explore the relationship between Strong John, who in the first book was just a companion who went up with Rowan to the mountain, who eventually developed a romance with Rowan's mother? Is that something to look at? Is that maybe what we're looking at? That's the thing. We did some world building. Matt Brown dropped in some of his patent chaos for a brief time. Oh, that's good. Yeah, typical frickin' Matty. All right. Enjoying listening and taking my mind off internal cursing and rapping annoyingly shame presents. Oh, schooly eye. I'm so sorry. Yes, no, I worked retail during Christmas for a year or two. So I feel you, buddy. I feel you. No, but that was good. I like world building. I do enjoy world building. World Ember is a great time for world building, by the way. If you ever get a chance to, World Anvil has an event every year where you can win fabulous prizes for doing world building. Actually, you know what? Let's do our World Anvil shout out because you know what? I actually have an affiliation with them. So there you go. Look at that. Boom. There it is. So if you want to sign up for World Anvil, it's a really, really great program to be able to keep track of all of your cool and exciting stuff for world building. And every year during December, they do the event called World Ember, where the more stuff that you actually do and the writing prompts that you follow for your own world, you get really cool, awesome subscriptions and stuff. And you get like Hero Forge codes and you get like a whole bunch of cool things. So yeah, go check it out. Yeah, there it is. I'm doing World Ember right now. I've got 2 worlds I'm working on. Nice. Good on you, Carrie. Good on you. I struggle with world building, which is very funny. Which is super funny because I'm an affiliate of World Anvil. But that's because I love Janet to pieces, and Janet is one of my favorite people, and Dimitri as well. And I definitely want people to know that World Anvil is amazing and that we like it. World Anvil's text format and I don't get along. I have preference for Obsidian. Yeah, fair enough. You know, everyone has their own thing as well, you know, like whatever works for you. I mean, there is definitely a learning curve, but once you get over it, I find like it's not, like it's about as good as everything else. Not as in like, if I wanted to, it's like proficiency, right? Like I use Fantasy Grounds instead of Roll20, but that doesn't mean I don't know how to use Roll20. It's just I just use Fantasy Grounds more. so I'm more proficient with it. So World Anvil kind of fits in that category. If you're really proficient with it, people swear up and down by it. But, you know, if you use something else like Obsidian, for example, then yeah, you know, of course people are going to enjoy what they work with. All right. Automod. What are you doing, Automod? I hope they develop an app. Trying to use the browser is a pain in the bum. Yeah, fair enough. That's true. No, you know, I really do hope they do make an app. That would be amazing. I think I would be really behind an app. I use Scrivener, and then I import Scrivener to the what do you call it? Scrivener to World Anvil whenever I can. So there you go. Dragon Core is a terrible looking today who failed to be at the keyboard for a raid. So D&D Doctor's trade. Oh well, welcome in. It's always good to see you, my dear. Yes, hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing fantastic. Yeah, we're just chilling out and reading. So you're always welcome. Hey, West Coast party. That's right. Yes, no, that's it. You know what? Actually, just to take a brief aside here, that is the only reason I have this stream, right? Because I stream so often in American times and New Zealand times and stuff like that. This is DAG's time. This is a bedtime story stream for people in WA. That's it. It's my private. It's my personal thing. You know. I'll say. Yeah, we've known each other. Oh, long story. Yeah. No, we've known each other. We've known each other for a while. God, like definitely coming up on like 15 years, something like that. Like, oh, like, you know what? Thinking about it, it's like nearly half my life. There you go. Which is mental. Yeah, because I mean, we knew each other before either of us was streaming. 20 years. Yeah, that sounds about it. Was it 20 years? Yeah, Jesus. Yeah, 20 years. Jeez. Woof. Yeah, there you go. But not Daggy bedtime stories. No, Daggy bedtime stories don't exist because Dag doesn't sleep. It's a small Perth after all. Yep, it is a small Perth after all. It is. Everyone knows everyone in Perth. It's really funny too. Actually, you know, I'll share this story real quick because again, like casual stream. Also a good time to pull in European audience. That's true. That's very true. But this is like kind of the middle of the day. So, I mean, you know, if you want to listen to bedtime stories in the middle of the day. Hey, Thabiel, good to see you. So, I didn't realize that Dragon Core was at PAX because I didn't check Instagram, and I don't check Instagram because I am a terrible social media person. I was in a car riding around with AJ from Winter's Tales, and she was posting on her social media because she's really good at social media, and she was flicking through all of her stuff, and I noticed that Dragon Core was in a picture, and I was like, hold a phone. Where did you take this, and how do you know this person? And then they said, oh, they watched my channel, they did this thing, and I'm like, that's nuts. I've known Dragon Core for like freaking decades. I can say decades now. You know, it was mental. It blew my mind. And then, weirdest thing, I was having like the post PAX blues kind of thing. You know, like it was like the end of PAX. It was a couple of days afterwards. And I literally just took to the streets because I took to the streets because that's kind of like how I clear my head. Like if I need to like clear my head, it's like I'll just go for a walk or I'll just wander around. And so I went around and I found what was it called? Fortress. I wasn't looking for it, just stumbled into it. And I went in and, you know, I met, you know, like a few people, which I, you know, like from the D&D community and stuff like that, you know, while I was there, which was, you know, they just walked in. It was just like, hey, what's up? Catching up with people. But then, you know, sitting over in the corner, it's freaking Dragon Core. Just chilling out there like a real person. And just, of course you're a real person. Yeah, but, you know, like, and I was just like, hello. Oh, my God. It was so cool. And then, you know, I ordered dinner and then I ended up staying too long and then my dinner went cold and then it was fine. But, you know, that was it. Yeah, that was it. Yeah, it was so, yeah, I had totally crashed your booth. I just didn't even ask, just sat myself down, was just like, yep, I'm here now. Yeah, that's kind of how I roll. The man who belongs, everyone. Yeah, like a real person, yep. There he is with a real person. He's got, what, the face and the legs and the arms and the nose and everything. It's like a human-shaped human. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we are human-shaped humans. I'm not a human-shaped human, apparently. I'm a muggle-shaped human. Sitting a people friend who I'd seen in 10 years that I bumped into a corridor in PAX. Man, PAX is weird. And Perthians Perthians are weird. We all know each other. That's the gospel truth right there. All right. What say we crack on to the next chapter, eh? I love the title of this chapter. It's very ominous. Danger. All right. Footsore, cold and tired to his bones, Rowan felt the stinging wind in his face, tasted salt on his lips, and his eyes started watering at the endless wave-capped seas. His hand reached for the comforting warmth of Star's rough mane. Star rumbled deep in her throat and swayed against him. Like Rowan, she was far from home. She longed for the sweet air of the Valley of Rin and the soft grass of the Bookshire fields. She did not like the chill wind that blew the salt spray into her small black eyes and the sharp, fishy scent into her tender nose. She did not like the sand and pebbles under her hoof. She did not like the dim stable where she was tethered, or the strange, silent people who stared at her as they passed. "You'll feel better, Star, once you have rested," Rowan murmured, rubbing her nose. "We'll all feel better then." He knew he was talking to himself as much as her. The wind blew hard, and Star pawed the ground, turning her head from the stable door, away from the noise of the wind and the stinging sand. "I must go now," said Rowan. "John will be waiting for me, but I will be back to see you soon." Star rumbled happily. "Your water is here, and your food. Eat and drink. Then sleep," Rowan urged her. "Sleeping will make the time pass more quickly." He patted Star's hump neck one last time, then turned away. He hoped his comforting words were true. He hated leaving Star alone and locked up like this. But the Maris had nowhere else to keep her. At least here she would be safe, Rowan thought, as he barred the stable door behind him and began trudging along the pebbled street to the place where he and John were to stay. The stable was strong, built of the rock-like brick that the Maris made for the use of their own houses. The fearsome creatures that slithered from the sea to hunt in the darkness of the night could not break into these strong walls. Pelaine had told him this, smiling slightly, with his head cocked to one side. It was not the way of the Maris people to bond so closely with animals. Pelaine was amused that Rowan cared so much for Star, but he was far too polite to say so. Rowan looked out again into the harbour, where the island hunched dark and covered with thick forest, beaten by the waves and the wind. He could see no movement on its rocky shore, but his mother might already be there, hidden among the trees. She had been taken away as soon as they had arrived in Maris, and that was a couple of hours ago at least. Rowan and John had been told that she would be the first to go to the Cavern of the Crystal, and then to the island, and there she would stay until the choosing was complete. Rowan gazed at the glittering sea and the black shape of the island, but he did not really see them. He no longer saw the shores of Maris, or the hard pebbled street on which he stood, or even the round houses that once crowded around each other behind him, and he no longer noticed the glances of the Maris folk. In his mind, he was back in Rin, standing by the Bookshire pool, the Bookshire rumbling and snorting around him, his mother working in the fields, Strong John in the orchard, and all was quiet. All was safe. Rowan felt a hand upon his shoulder and jumped with a start. He spun around to see Pelaine looking at him inquiringly. "What are you doing here alone, firstborn of the Chooser?" the Maris man asked. "Why are you not in the safe house with John of the Orchard where I left you?" I was seeing Star, my Bookshire," stammered Rowan. A weary smile crossed Pelaine's face. "You people of Rin are very strange," he sighed. "Do you want to be found tomorrow morning in a ditch, stabbed through the heart, my friend? Is this beast, this Bookshire, so important that you would risk that?" There's no reason why anyone here should wish to kill me, Pelaine," said Rowan stoutly. "I have done harm to no one, and I don't know anything about the choosing yet. I've not even seen the candidates. No one could know how I would vote, so should it be left to me at all?" A cloud seemed to veil Pelaine's pale eyes for a moment. Then once more his mouth curved into a smile. You are wiser than you seem, Rowan of Rin, he murmured, and yet not as wise as you believe. The candidates study the ways of Rin, and your family more than any. Their trainers know how you think. They have collected news of you since the day you were born. Rowan's cheek grew hot despite the icy wind. He didn't like to think of his life as being spied on from a distance by cold, pale eyes of strangers. He glanced at Perlane, and his face showed clearly how he felt. The Maris man spread his small, webbed hands. That is how it has always been, he said. It is best you understand. Come with me now, to the safe house, and I would suggest that from now on you wait there, that you do not go deep into the streets alone. He took Rowan by the arm and drew him on down the pebbled street. And drew him on. All right. Drew as in to draw someone, to pull someone. I get it. There you go. Also, happy lurking, people. Mwah. Big love. Okay. Where was I? There we go. He took Rowan by the arm and drew him on down the pebbled street. I have to visit Star at least twice a day, said Rowan stubbornly, to fill her bowl and give her food. She is lonely and perhaps afraid. And you are not afraid, Perlane stared at him. His flat eyes seemed to pierce Rowan's soul. Then he nodded. Oh yes, I see it now. You are afraid, but you're trying not to show that you are. This is the way of Rin, is it not? Rowan said nothing. He walked on, feeling Perlane's cool breath on his cheek. He saw the other Maris people, especially those who wore silver and green of the Umbre and Fisk clan, staring and whispering as they passed. Perhaps they were wondering what Perlane was saying to him, wondering if Perlane was taking advantage of his place as the Keeper's messenger, if he was singing the praises of the candidate from the Pindalis, just in case the firstborn should become chooser. The low voice went on, closer to his ear. Yet, you are different from the others I have met. Different from the large, loud people who come to trade with us each year. Different from your tall, brave mother, the chooser. Your eyes have a look of someone who has seen the great serpent and lived, deep and full of knowledge. Strange in a boy so young. I have known only one other. Rowan stumbled and looked down at his feet, not knowing what to say. You keep silent, said Perlane. This is good. In silence you are safe. He stopped and pointed. There. There is your safe house, he said. I will go with you no further. Food will be brought to you soon. Our finest fish, the eggs of the Kirian worm, gathered fresh from the sands this morning. But I suggest you keep your own supplies. Why? Asked Rowan. You may find that something in a Maris dish does not agree with you, he says calmly. And tell your friend John if you wish, if you value your life as much as you value your own. He bowed and moved away, slipping like a blue shadow down a narrow lane between two houses before disappearing from sight. Rowan paced the last few steps to the building where he was to stay with John. Perlane was warning him of poison. Poisoned food, poisoned drink. Jiller had taken her own food and drink to the island. She, Rowan, and John had all agreed on this, but they had not thought that John and Rowan would have to take similar care. Not so soon, not unless the worst had happened and Jiller was killed. The people of each clan will do anything at all to make sure their candidate will win. They will steal, spy, cheat, and lie. They will even kill if they suspect that the chooser is favoring another. Take care, mother, thought Rowan, pressing his hand together. Do not let anyone know how you are feeling. Do not even hint at which candidate you think is the best. Guard your words and your face, even your thoughts. For perhaps after 1,000 years of crystal, the Keeper was not the only one of the Maris who could read thoughts. Rowan remembered how Perlane's pale eyes had searched his. Perlane had seemed to know what he was thinking. Could it be? If so, then Jilla could not be safe, however careful she were. She would not be safe until she was back in the cavern of the crystal, until she had put her hand on the shoulder of the one candidate and said the words that she had whispered to Rowan on the journey to this place, the word every chooser said since the time of Orin. The chooser has made the choice. Let the other candidates leave this place. Rowan found that he was panting with fear, deliberately. He slowed his breath. He rubbed his sweating hands on his shirt. He knew he had to keep calm as his mother would want him. But it was so hard. So hard. He wondered for the 1000th time whether Jiller had been right to keep his family secret from him. He had wondered for the 1000th time whether Jiller had been right to keep their family secret from him all these years. Would it have been better to be prepared? Or would the story have burdened his childhood as it was burdening him now? Would he have to worry about it and fear every day of the coming of the Maris messenger? Would his dream have been haunted by pale, watchful people with cold eyes and webbed hands, a rocky black island circled in foam, and a crystal burning like fire? Rowan heard a sound and looked up. People on the street were starting to part and letting a hurrying group through. A group of 3, 2 men and a woman, wearing capes that flapped and snapped in the wind. One man wore the silver of the Umbre, the other the blue of Pindalis. The woman wore the green of Fisk, their faces serious. They were coming straight towards him. Something had happened. Something terrible. Rowan's whole body began to shake. His heart felt as though it was bursting. He had muttered around him as a crowd had gathered to watch. The 3 Maris stopped in front of him and bowed low. The man in blue glanced at the others and began to speak. Chooser of Rin, who holds the fate of the Maris in your hands, I greet you in the name of the Keeper of the Crystal. As his voice droned on, whispers rose from the crowd on the streets, filling Rowan's ears, rising and falling, hissing like waves of foam on the sand. Chooser. Chooser. The mother. Poison. 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 As the red tide of horror rose and flooded Rowan's mind, a single thought rose to the surface. Jilla had been right to keep him in ignorance for as long as she had, for nothing could have told him he would have to prepare for this agony. Nothing at all. Okay. End of the chapter. Wow! Okay. We're going to take a break here. Again, just chatting, catching up, getting some thoughts, having a quick drink and catching up with chat. What do you guys think? Holy hell. I mean, we kind of suspected this was going to happen because obviously it's Rowan of Rin, not Jilla of Rin, right? So there is that expectation. But she's been poisoned, and now Rowan is the chooser. Sorry, 2 seconds. While you guys are typing your questions and the like, I'm just going to send a quick message here. Cool. Boom. All right. Did you... I feel like I missed a few things. Okay, here we go. There we go. All right. I met one of my closest friends in college just sitting down next to them. I was trying to hide from someone and just joined a table. Yeah, that's the best way to do it. 100%. Bumped into someone who recognized me from Tactics when I was in Cambodia. Wow, that's impressive. I have to go back to Tactics. Yeah. Man, it's hard to get to Tactics these days. It is, because I live like 30, 40 minutes away from the city, so it's very hard for me to get there. Shouldn't have teased Rob for rolling so many threes. Yeah, I always tease Rob. Fine. Still have from my medieval camp in the calendar. Seems like paranoia is rife among the Maris folk. Yeah, absolutely. I would completely agree. I think it's less paranoia. I think it's more like, I feel like, okay, so Rin is clearly filled with warriors, right? I'd say that the travelers are filled with bards, and I'd say that the way that they're shaping the Maris to be is it's filled with rogues and sailors, rogues and rangers, I guess. That would be kind of my equivalent. I suspect the mum isn't really dead, only because I thought for sure John was going to die when they were going to fight the dragon, but he didn't. Yeah, that's true. That's true. I would say, yeah, probably Jilla might not die. I mean, at the end of the day, it is a young adult's book. I feel as though death of that level isn't something that happens, right? Like, if you die, it's usually natural causes or an old man or something, right? Like, I don't think I mean, to be fair, I don't think there has been a single death in any of these books. So here's the other side of it, is maybe that won't, but at the same time, maybe this will be the first death, you know? I mean, maybe. I love all the voices you do when reading during a game. Have you ever done an audiobook narration? No, but there are talks. There are talks. I might be doing some voice acting for Shadowrun in the next year, but that will entirely depend on circumstances, mostly because I'm very busy. I mean, it's good money. It's done with people who are really passionate about it, and it's also involves a lot of my friends. But like with my schedule and the like, it's kind of something I have to be very careful about because I don't want to overextend myself. But yes, audiobooks are a lot of fun. Yeah. Ooh, Shadowrun. Yeah, yeah. They've also invited me to play Shadowrun, but they keep inviting me on days that I stream, which admittedly is my fault because I stream every day. So there you go. Okay. Man, I just want to go to the next chapter, eh? Like, I'm not gonna lie. It's like, this is the study bit. I'm like trying to think of like how do I interpret the previous chapter? The previous chapter, like, I think I found the voice of Pelaine, which is good, but at the same time, I'm so mad. I'm like, no, Jelly, why? And what's John gonna do? What's John's reaction to this? You poisoned my fiancé. I'm gonna clobber you. You know, I don't know. I wish I could see John violent. John's been very, very, you know, like, not. He's been strong, but he's been strong by name. He hasn't really done anything, like, particularly mighty, right? So beating up a bunch of Maris, knocking out one of the candidates would be funny. Maybe. All right. Let us continue. Who has done this? No, wait, let me try again. Who has done this? Rowan heard his own voice speaking as though from far away. There is no telling. No, there is no telling, said the taller man of the ombre. Your mother fell ill on the island. She was there alone with the candidates. The choosing had just begun. His face showed no expression at all. His eyes were cold and flat. One of the candidates, thought Rowan. Someone who thought they were going to lose. His head swam. There is no telling. But there had to be. The green-clad woman looked at the sun. We must hurry, she said. The crystal dims. The choosing must go on. Time flows away from us like the tide. She began to move away. Blindly, Rowan caught her arm to hold her back. His fingers slipped on the smooth surface of her garment that she wore. Beneath the fabric was flesh, which felt cool and slightly damp. John! Does John know? He burst out, glancing at the closed door of the safe out ahead. Not yet, she says. He must be told. He will be. And would you know already, had you not been with him, as expected? She said. We were surprised to see you on the streets alone. Her voice was icy, her disapproval very clear. I wasn't, Rowan broke off, biting back the words. He had been going to say that... He had been going to say... That's very weird. Let me read that. He had been going to say that he hadn't been alone. Why not just say he was going to say? He was going to say that he had been going to say, it's very weird, I don't like it. He had been going to say that he hadn't been alone, that Pelaine had been with him, but with a stab of fear that pierced even the panic and confusion he was feeling, he realized that to admit this would be dangerous now. Pelaine was of the Pendalis clan. If the Fisk and Umbre people thought the Chooser was becoming too friendly with the Pendalis man, even the Keeper's messenger, they might get jealous. They might decide that Rowan would surely choose the Pendalis candidate for the Keeper. They might... "Come," said the quiet voice beside him. It was the Umbre man. His face so close to Rowan he could see his own reflection in his colorless eyes. "Come," the man repeated. "We must delay no longer. You are the Chooser now, and the fate of the Maris is in your hand." I want to see my mother," Rowan managed to say. The man nodded. "Of course. That is why she has been carried to the Cavern of the Crystal. By order of the Keeper. You must bid her farewell before you take her place on the island, Chooser of Rin. She will no longer be alive by the time you return." Rowan's heart gave an enormous leap. "You mean she still lives?" he gasped. I thought... "She breathes," murmured the Umbre man, turning his face towards the crashing sea. "But her heart beats ever more slowly as the poison spreads within her. Soon she will breathe no more." "She does not suffer. She does not. She does not suffer. She does not suffer." No. We need to do the Pendalis man. Alright. So, this is the Umbre. This is the Umbre's, Umbre man. Umbre man is like this. "And this is the Fisk woman. Yes, the woman of the Fisk. She sounds like this. The Pendalis man. The Pendalis man. Okay, this will work. The Pendalis man. Here we go. "She does not suffer," the Pendalis man added, glancing at Rowan's stricken face. "She merely sleeps and dreams with every dream." She sleeps and dreams, but with every dream she slips further away from the shores of life. That is all. The Umbre man smiled, thin-lipped. "Do not pretend to the Chooser that you are soft-hearted like him and his people, Pendalis. The whole of Maris knows that the Pendalis are born with chips of ice floating in their veins. They are cold and feel nothing, whereas the Umbre," the Fisk woman whirled around to face him. "The Umbre are just as bad as the Pendalis. They are simply better at deceiving, slippery as eels that coil in the river slime," she spat. "My clan, however..." "Shut your serpent mouth, Fisk," growled the Umbre man, raising a shimmering silver arm. The three stepped closer to one another, crowding Rowan between them. Their voices rose, loud and bitter. Around them, the crowd began to mutter, drawing into separate groups, Pendalis, Umbre, and Fisk. Webbed hands felt for knives, long and narrow. Bladed flashed and glittered with the sun. Rowan's head was spinning. He looked around at the strange pale face twisted with fury, the thin white lips opened, shouting, the flat eyes glazed with anger. Hot rage rose within him. He hated these people. He hated them all. Their stupid, murderous rivalry had killed his mother. He gritted his teeth. "Stop it!" he shouted, clapping his hands to his ears. "Stop it!" With quick, hissing breaths, the Maris stiffened and fell silent. They drew back. Their faces grew watchful. The wind wailed, and the waves crashed upon the shore. A lump rose in Rowan's throat. He felt as though he was choking. His eyes burned with tears. He swallowed and blinked and held them back. At last he found his voice. "Take me to the Cavern of the Crystal," he said. "Take me to my mother. Now." As Rowan walked, he stared straight ahead at the slim back of the Umbre man who led the way. Dimly he was aware of the Fisk woman gliding along to his left, the Pendalis man on his right. They weren't much taller than he was. Yet now that his sudden rage had died, leaving a numbness behind, he felt trapped by them, hemmed in, surrounded, helpless. Swiftly the group moved through the streets, cutting through the green, blue, and silver of the milling crowd like a great fish through water. The chooser, the chooser. Rowan heard the voices of the people as he passed. The people were talking about him. They knew. They knew what happened to his mother. Perhaps some of them even knew who had poisoned her and why. Soon she will breathe no more. The words were so final. And yet, Rowan quickened his pace until he was almost treading on the Umbre man's heels. How did the Maris know this for sure? They did not know his mother. They did not know her strength. Perhaps even now something could be done to help her. How much further? He demanded aloud. Suddenly he was terrified that Jilla would die before he reached her. No further, said the Pendalis man briefly. We have arrived. His shoulder touched Rowan's as they made a sharp turn to the right towards the sea. Waves crashed and pounded. Rowan felt the spray on his face, and he looked up and around. They were standing in front of a rounded, sand-colored building, with huge doors covered in gleaming pearl shells. On the roof was a cup shape where a flame would burn to tell all of Maris that the choosing was complete, and the chooser was about to name the new keeper. For now, however, it was cold and empty. In front of the building was a courtyard of pale green stones. Behind it was the sea, dashing itself against the rocks, and across the water, ringed with white foam, was the darkness of the island. The Ombre man stopped and stood aside. You must enter alone, chooser of Rin, he said with careful respect. The woman of Fisk made a quick movement, as though she was about to speak, but then appeared to change her mind. She looked down at her hands and kept silent. Rowan felt, rather than saw, the three Maris people watching him as he walked towards the building. He no longer cared what they did or what they thought, as he pushed open the shining door and entered the strange round beyond. He did not even feel afraid. It was as though he was beyond feeling anything, as though he was watching himself in a dream. The door swung closed behind him, and he found he was alone. The room was large. Its walls and ceilings were curved. They and the floors were made of polished stone, hard, smooth, and shining. Candles burning in holders fixed to the floor gave only a small amount of light, and a stairway in one corner leading downwards. Rowan went to the head of the stairway, and below he could see the light glimmering. He put his hands on the railing and his foot on the first stair. Welcome, chooser of Rin. This voice echoed in Rowan's brain. His head jerked up, shocked. He looked around. I am below. Come to me. The voice was soft, beckoning. Rowan obeyed it. He knew that he was about to meet the keeper of the crystal. All right. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is where we are going to end today's session. Mostly because that I think is a really, really good spot to pause or to stop. And I think yeah, we can definitely return next week to like dive into the keeper and getting to meet them, playing around with them, and yeah, this really, really interesting and dope looking chapter of the book. I'm so excited. I'm so cool. I really enjoy this intrigue that's happening. I really want to play in a D&D game inspired by this setting and this world. I really, really do. Like just everything from the Zebak to the Maris people and their culture. Like everything about it just really appeals to me. Hey, what's up, Eric? Nice to see you. Thank you so much for the sub. 29 months, you bloody legend. I hope it's not too hot. It is bloody hot out here. But yeah, no, I had a really good time tonight. Thank you all for, it's not been too, it's not been too hot. I mean, it's always kind of hot. Today, was like, what, 25, 26, so not too terrible today. it was really funny actually. I put the air cons on because I was looking after a group of people who I thought were going to be really really comfortable with the cold weather, but they were like, oh, sorry, with the hot weather. But no, they weren't. They were just like, you know, the AC needs to be like, I need to be able to make ice creams on the kitchen counter. I'm like, okay, I guess. Yeah, so whole thing. But it's doing good, mate. So yeah, Rowan and the Keeper of the Crystal. Man, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, no 40 days yet. Thank you for doing the stream. Very engaging. Thank you, Creative. I really enjoy it. Like I said, this is more of a break period. So we're getting through the book. We're almost halfway, to be honest. Like we're almost halfway through the book. This is actually a break kind of period because I want to do some stuff with this time slot. Like I want to do some live plays. I want to do some Twitch Tales type stuff. But it's very hard with my schedule to keep writing everything, especially from scratch. So so that's the tough bit. So once I kind of juggle schedules and stuff around, this slot will always change to cool things. So we might do a DAG read, we might do a world build, we might do a Hero Forge building, stuff like that. Yeah, things like this. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I really appreciate you guys being here. I hope that you guys have a wonderful and amazing rest of your week, whatever that happens to look like. We are going to go and raid. Who are we going to go and raid? I would raid Sly Farish, but I know that he doesn't. I know that he doesn't accept raids. You know what? Let's raid RPG Dinosaur Bob. RPG Dinosaur Bob, because we were talking about World Anvil earlier on. World Anvil, Dinosaur Bob uses World Anvil and does a cool bunch of world building and stuff like that. So I think it's a great place to watch. And if you guys, you know, like the World Anvil stuff, here's my affiliate link. And you can like love on DAG. And you know, like, yeah, if you do find that it is something that you're gonna enjoy, remember who sent you there. Be all like, hey, that's DAG. I know DAG. But yeah, all right, there we go. Boom. All right, guys, we are gonna go and raid RPG Dinosaur Bob. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being a part of the community. We will be back tomorrow morning for Curse of the Crimson Throne in like 10 hours. No. Yes. No, 7 hours. No. 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9 hours. 9 hours. Boom. 9 hours we'll be back for Curse of the Crimson Throne, a Pathfinder adventure. And so come and tune in then. I've been Michael. I'm the Dead Aussie Gamer. This is my place. This is my face. And we will see you next time. Take it easy. Until we meet again, as always, game hard or die trying. Bye, everyone. Mwah.